Hello and welcome for the video for today. We are going to work on the bottom part of this little Christmas tree with the train going around. So first of all, I am gluing these two parts in place. That is this part and the part here with the two contacts in, and I'm just gluing them onto the baseboard here. Make sure that the glue is all dry before you continue. So here I have the motor, that is the one that makes the train go around on the tracks, and a few on and off buttons, and I'm just pushing that really nicely into the sides here so they are sticking out and they just fit perfect. So you just press them in there and make sure they are sitting really nice and tight in there. This little part here is for the power, and we have to unscrew this little thing here and then just place it through the hole and then screw it all together again and make sure it sits nice and tight. And that's for the power. I will leave a bit of info about the power right here. So the version I have a speaker, and one of the wires were jumped off mine here, so I had to contact the maker of the kit to hear where to put it, and he told me to place it here, jumping over one from the black and then popping in the red here. So I'm just soldering that onto the place where it needs to go and hoping for the best. And now for the wiring in this bottom part. There was a piece of red wire in the bags, and I cut that into two and prepared that for working with. That means taking off the plastic in each end of these small wires. I cut a piece of the extra white wire and did the same with that, prepared that. And I had two long wires that I also prepared. These white wires are rests of the bulb that we made last time. That was the wiring chart I just showed you right there, so if you need to have a better look at that, you can pause it. The long white wire, I put that through the tiny hole and connected that to the contact. And I connected the small white wire on the other side of the same contact. Here I am placing one of the small red wires to this contact over here, and again a small red wire to the bottom contact over here, and you can see where I place them right here. I'm just making sure that they have a very good connection with the metal here, and now I'm going to solder all these wires to where they need to go. Now I am connecting all these wires that I have here, that is the three smaller wires, two red and a white, and I'm connecting them together and placing them here at the bottom part of this one for the power. So again, I am going to solder that in place. Now we are going to take the motor right here, and I am connecting the red wire to the other side of this contact I'm trying to slide it under this metal piece and get the wire through the hole and kind of make a hook around the metal piece here. This way it will stick really good onto the connection. And I am again soldering this in place. This way it won't budge at all when it's all done. Now I am going to take the red wire from the speaker and I'm placing it here at the bottom contact on this side, just pulling it through the little loop at the contact and making sure it has a very nice contact with the contact, well, the wire with the contact. And I am going to solder that on again. I'm sorry if it's hard to see what I'm doing, but it's kind of hard to show this on the camera. I take my second long white wire, that's a really hard one to say, white wire, and I'm connecting that to the black from the speaker and the black from the motor and connecting them really good. And then I am going to place them here on the second contact on this little thing where you put the wire, where you put the power in. Oh, the English today is pretty hard. So I'm just going to connect these wires to that one, and again I'm going to solder that in place. And this was a bit tricky for me, but I managed. That was it for the wiring at the bottom part for the train. Now I am placing the rest of the sides here onto the bottom part so that they are nice and glued in. I use a tiny bit of hot glue to glue in this little part here with the speaker system. This is the speaker, and I'm just placing that here on the side and using a tiny bit of hot glue to make sure it will stay in place. Again, I'm using a tiny bit of hot glue to make sure that the wires cannot be pulled out of the bottom part. And again, a little hot glue to make sure that the motor is sitting exactly where it needs to go. And I'm just making sure it will stay in place. Then I am gluing the L ring to the K part, and I'm making sure that the two holes here for the wires are lining up while gluing them together. Before you continue, you have to use the parts V to place in the bottom part. I just didn't see that in the build instructions, so I didn't get to it, and now it's too late. But here I am showing you that I cut off one end of these tabs and just squeezed them in. They are holding the contacts in place so that they don't pop out when you push them or turn them on. So just do that before you are gluing these two parts together that I'm gluing here. This is the part with the motor in there, and I'm just placing a lot of my tacky glue on there, and then I am making sure that I turn this the right way around and that I have the motor in the middle, well, the point of the motor coming up in the middle of this little hole. And it is right here where you have to place the V parts before you continue. If you haven't done it, then do it now. Pull the wires through the little hole and then make sure that all these small tabs are fitted very nicely together at the bottom, or the top part of the bottom. Make sure you don't have the wires in the way for the connection, and take your time with this. There we have the bottom part all done, except that I don't have the two V pieces in there, and I will find out later. So I'm using a light brown paint here. I didn't have a dark one, so I had to mix a light brown with some black, and I'm using that for the bottom part of this box here. I made sure that I mixed enough of this color for the whole bottom part, because I don't want to mix it one more time, as I'm not sure I can mix the same color again. And I'm just painting the whole bottom part here of this box here. So while the paint are drying, I am taking these pieces. These are the T pieces, and you want them to point together like I just did right here. I am taking some white craft sand and mixing that together with my paint. I am going to smear this all over one side of these T pieces, and I'm doing it on the side that is up right now, so I'm sure that I have a front and a back for each of the two caves for each of the two caves that is in this build. And I'm just making sure that I go all the way out to the edge with this, and I'm taking my time. You can mix in a tiny bit of tacky glue in this mixture if you're afraid it won't stick enough. Make sure it is all dry before you take out the 4 end pieces that I have right here. I'm just taking them out. Then I am placing them on the back side of these, and I am making sure that I put the right ones on there and that they are turned the right way around. And then I'm just going to glue them on there. This is kind of a way to make the entrance a bit thicker and better looking in the end result. I'm again mixing some of my black with the light brown color that I have here. This is my Vallejo paint. I really love these paints, and I'm using that for painting the backside and the underside of these tunnel pieces. I mix in some white paint in this mixture, and I'm going to use that for dry brushing the top of this textured sand paint that we put on the front of this. Then I mixed a tiny bit of this brown color into some white paint to make an even lighter color that I dry brushed over this layer, and I dry brushed that even lighter on top of this all, and I think they came out really cool. Now back to the base that we have painted, and it looks really nice. The top part here, I am going to paint that all white, and making sure that I get everything. Be careful that you don't cover this line you have here, because you really want that to kind of be visible. The two holes you can see coming forth here through the white paint, that is the places where the V pieces needed to go that I didn't get in there. Really, you need to make sure that you put them in before you connect everything here. And I'm also painting the W part here white, I painted the side here, popped it out, and then painted the edges. I want some snow texture on here, so I placed other pieces here for the mechanism for the train to see if there is room for it, and there is room for a thin layer, so I'm just popping on a very thin layer of this Tamaria powder snow effect on there. I did mix a white glitter into my powder snow effect. Here I am just placing one of these pieces for the little bridge or the little mountain thing that the train is going under, to make sure that I do not put any snow where that needs to go, so that still sits right on top of the board here. And I'm just working my way around this. Remember, there's 2 of these small mountain tunnels things, so please avoid getting snow on those parts. I am also avoiding the center of this plate where you have the motor sticking up, so I'm making sure that I don't have any snow around that place, so everything is opened and easy for the motor to turn around. While the snow is still wet, I am finding my train tracks and placing them here on top of the snow, placing this mechanism thing and making sure everything is working. Now I am placing a tiny bit of glue on the train tracks, and I am squeezing that into the snow, making sure it is sitting exactly where it needs to go. And I really squish the train track down into the snow with the glue, making sure it will stay in place and making sure that it is really nice and flush, so this mechanism can still turn around when it's all done. Make sure this is totally and surely and utterly completely dry before you continue from here. Well, I did put this motor part together. So first you have a tiny plastic thing lying on top of the wood board, the white wood board. Then you put this thing where the train is going on. And then you are taking a white, a thicker, a taller piece of this plastic thing and placing on top. And there is some more things you can place on there before you put in the little screw, but for me that would get too tall, so I just placed this big plastic thing there, and then the metal thing, and then the screw, and then I screwed that all tight together, made sure everything was really nice. So here I have part X, and I am placing a tiny bit of glue all the way around the hole here in the middle, and on top of that I am placing the ring that is called C. Then I am gluing C1 to C, and then C2 to C1. Then I am gluing this little white piece, this is W1, and I am gluing that on top of this translucent plastic that is lying here over the train tracks. And I'm just very careful with this so I don't bend anything or ruin anything. And I'm trying to place it so it is lying straight. I'm putting a tiny bit of glue on one of these mountain pieces and placing that in these small holes there is in X. Then we have this small piece, it is the U piece, and I am gluing that in place here in the little bridge we have, and I'm turning it the right way around. and this will keep the shape of this while it is all drying. I'm doing the same here on the other bridge, making sure I have the nice side turned out. And then when I'm all done with this gluing, you really need to wait with the rest of the gluing until this is all dry and hardened. I didn't wait long enough, so I had a few problems with this next part, so please do wait until this glue is all dry. And then you glue all of these small pieces and glue that on top of the bottom part of this and just place it. I had a few problems with this because this middle plate here needs to be hovering over the bottom part. This way the little plastic part can turn around freely. And this is all we are going to do for today. We got all this at the bottom here put together, the wiring and the little mountain pieces. So I will see you tomorrow, where we are going to put both of these pieces together and do the last wiring for this. Thank you for watching and see you tomorrow. Bye!